Hello to all you Spurs fans, near and far, far and wide. This is the Heart Now Here Spurs Fans podcast, and we are here, even though I'm sure, like you, we don't want to be here. We love our club, but what has happened over the last week since we did our last podcast? A podcast full of hope after beating Brentford away and going into two massive cup games that my fellow guests here, Kevin and Matty, were at, especially in Anfield. A lot of hope. Semi-final second leg, a 1-0 lead to take there. We didn't show up. And then 3 days later, we go to Villa Park. And for me, and the lads will obviously have their take on it, 2-1 was flattering to Spurs. But it's been a tough week. But we're here. Listen, we want to get you involved. We're obviously streaming on our normal platforms as our podcast. So wherever you listen, for it's Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, but we're also live across all social platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Get involved. Let us know what you think from top to bottom about the games, about the players, the manager, the board. We need to know everything because obviously we'll get onto it. But Sunday, outside of what's going on the pitch, is going to be a massive game. But we're here, our podcast, proudly sponsored by joinit.co.uk. Very, very proud sponsors of this week's show. Kevin, Matty, how you doing? You all right, boys?
Yeah, really good, mate. How you doing?
All good, Lee. All good, boys. All right, Kev?
How you doing, mate? All right, mate?
I mean, that's the only thing we can be, right? All right. Matt, I'll start with you. I saw Kev's videos. I saw your videos in our group, on our pages. There was excitement going up to Anfield, excitement in the pub. This is it. It could happen. We could be on our way to Wembley on a St. Patrick's weekend to lift the trophy and get absolutely wrecked. But we got wrecked up there, and it was wrecked on the pitch, mate. Give us your thoughts on everything.
I'll tell you what, right, Lee. That Thursday seemed a very long time ago, yeah? So during that time, it was a good time driving up to Liverpool, and that we had a laugh and that in the car, didn't we, Kevin? And then got back about 4 o'clock in the morning, showered, went straight to the hospital, had a knee operation, come back out. I've been through the Villa game. Mate, I've been through it all, Matt, and I feel like now
mate.
I've got a hairline like you and TJ, but I feel as old as Kev.
Do you know what? I must say quickly, Tottenham have the most bald supporters. 10% of the fan base is bald. I read that the other day. In the Premier League, Tottenham have the most bald supporters. Yeah, I could tell after fucking games like this, right? But Matt, it was horrible.
What do we do? Do you know what I mean? It's like a repeat record we keep talking about now. Like we finally won a game, and then we think actually, well, we had something else to talk about. But we're back down this horrible road, and Liverpool was very disappointing. How do you even word that? It's just kind of like it's the shambles, weren't it? Absolute shambles from start to finish. I think we tried to set up a bit tactically different, which I think was the right thing to do. I don't think we could have gone all out attack against Liverpool. They would have blew us out of the water. And I think Andrew was in a situation where we set up differently. We lost 4-0, but I think if we go out attacking, we still lose 4-0, and he would have got slated even more for. So I don't know, but we'll come to the Aston Villa game. But Liverpool was really, really disappointing. It felt like men v boys.
It did, and that's the thing. I think, Kev, from a fan point of view, like Matty said, going up there, the excitement, it just grows and grows. You get in the pub, everyone's singing the songs that you want to hear, that get you in the mood. You think, come on, it's got to be our time. We've got the 1-0. We've been down on our luck. This is the bit that changes it. It just didn't get going. Like, how was the atmosphere in that stand with all the away fans?
Yeah, look, I was... Yeah, I mean, with the injury crisis we got and all that and what's going on with the club, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I went up there because it was a semi-final and, it was the what if we did do it. I wanted to be there. But, I mean, I don't think any of us were really confident going into that game and the Villa game, to be fair. But it was more of a bit of hope, if anything. But I'll be honest with you, we'll probably get onto both games, but... what I really enjoyed over these last two cup games of going away is seeing the boys. I mean, the football is going to be the football, especially the situation we're in. But just going up there and So, spending fucking 8 hours with Matt in a car, won't forget that. But seeing his brother who I ain't seen for ages, and getting up to the Brick, seeing like Phil Wicking and all that in the pub, and people who have really made the effort to come up there, and for the same reason me, just in case we did do it. But I mean, look, I take the football aside, I've really enjoyed the trips of going away and getting in the pubs and seeing everybody, and yeah, the football is probably how I thought the football would be. I mean, we're in a predicament at the moment where, from board level to manager to players to injuries, everything is really in the shit. And I mean, if you was a Spurs fan who thought we was going to go out to Liverpool and win, and you was convinced we was going to win or convinced we was going to beat Villa, then fair play to you. But I don't think the majority were. They was probably more just looking forward to the trip up there and having a beer like me. But in terms of the atmosphere at Liverpool, I mean, for how many there was there, I didn't think the atmosphere was that great at Liverpool. I think I can only put it down to the fact of that we kind of knew what was coming before kick-off. And then once it started the way it did, and we seemed a bit, and we sat back and we didn't seem like we really wanted to attack. I think we was all just kind of sitting in that stand, kind of waiting or expecting the goals to come from Liverpool at some point. And as the game grew on, they got better, obviously, and took their chances, and we didn't create any. So, I mean, for how many was there, it was really disappointing in terms of atmosphere because of the way the players played. And that kind of ruined that. But before the game, brilliant, coming up there in a car and having a beer and getting in the pubs before is how away days are. But sometimes you get lucky and you get the football result with it. And these last two games, we've got the trips and the beers and the mates and having the laughs, but we haven't got the football results. But I'm not surprised, Lee, with what's going on at the club at the moment and how we're playing, and really just down to burnt out players. I just don't think they can get going at all at the moment. We need players back, and these games against Villa and Liverpool maybe have just come a bit too soon. Because if they were, maybe 3 weeks later, we might have a better squad and we may be able to compete better. But yeah, for me, just everyone looks a bit burnt out. From players to manager, I mean, everyone just looks like they've had a fuck enough. But we'll go on to the Villa game and I'll talk about the atmosphere at Villa. But yeah, Liverpool was disappointing as a whole with crowd, atmosphere and players.
Yeah, and it's tough, and I think burnout is a really key element, and it's being brought up in the chats, in the Instagram. We've got Bald and Blessed listening, watching in from Texas. He's worried because he thought at least we're putting an effort. We've got our great sponsors, Join It Limited, Paul Miller, Ford and Graphics, Zach Mazzarelli, Richie Aluzia, Rich Hobbs. They're all in there. Jamie Bradley, our great friend. It just all feels a bit burnt out, as you say. I've never known a time when I'm looking and I'm going, there's another game. There's another game. I'm just watching. And I don't know, obviously, when luck's against you, when the chips are down, you almost want a break. You need a break from it because it's hard. Loss after loss, defeats, the performances when it's not going well. It takes a lot on the supporters. You almost don't want to watch it because it affects your mood. I mean, there is a clear sense of burnout. Matt, when you were in Anfield, we'll get, as I said, we'll get to Birmingham, but when you was in Anfield at Liverpool, like, was there burnout from the crowd pretty soon into that game when it just felt like it was one-way traffic? Do you sense it as a supporter like we do watching it at home, that like, fuck me, we need a break? When's an international break?
I think at 0-0, everyone was all right. I think when Liverpool went 1-0 up, it was just a matter of time before they went 1-0 up. And then I think at half-time, everyone was kind of deflated down in the concourse, and second half, things didn't get much better. We conceded a penalty straight after half-time, so everyone was just kind of flat. Do you know what? In this last 2 days, even though we kind of knew we were going to lose to Liverpool and Villa, we've sold out both times. Both our fans have gone up there, got in at silly o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, all gone to work Friday morning, like getting in at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, going to work at 6-7. Exactly the same again for Villa. Do you know what I mean? So no one can ever question our support. We knew we were going to get beat in both games, but it's just the hope that killed us. But I feel like the burnout, I think like us fans, we've just kind of had enough at the minute. Like I don't think it can get any worse. I can't remember it to get any worse. But in my previous years supporting Spurs, about how bad it's been now. You know, I think we just had enough. I think we just had enough.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I'll stay with you just there, Matt. Is like we have had enough, but like, and we'll talk about burnout. But do you expect, some of our bigger names, senior names, captain? I'm talking Sonny here, being a standout. Like, do we have to expect more? I mean, don't get me wrong. He can be as burnt out as a young 19-year-old Archie Gray. I get that, but like, there's got to be times when you feel like the sleeves have got to be rolled up. And are we seeing that? We've talked extensively about Ange. We've talked extensively about Daniel Levy, but how much are the players got to be accounted for, and how much is that against burnout? Because that's the conundrum. Because I do believe there is burnout, but you still need your players to turn up, don't you?
100%. Players have to take a massive responsibility in what's gone on here. Yeah, but also it's the same players that we're talking about that have stood up. Archie Gray, Jed Spence. These players weren't even in the squad at the start of the season, and they're the players that we're looking to now to get us out of trouble. But like Jed Spence, he was nowhere to be seen, and he's one of our most consistent key performers week in, week out. I think you look at players like Sonny. What do you do? Like he's come over to the away fans after you've just been 4-0. He's our captain, and he's standing there crying again. Like, what? You're not going to get no sympathy from the fans because your performance was absolutely shit. Do you know what I mean? So you're not going to sit there and come and get any sympathy off the fans. If it was like Jed Spence, for instance, in that game against Liverpool, that come over and he showed the emotions and he was upset, the fans will be fully behind him because they see that you've actually put a shift in. I can't remember the last time Sonny's put a shift in, but it's not just him. Bentancur, Basuma, Papa Sarr. Like, Papa Sarr is terrible. I'm just going to throw this out there. He has not come on one bit. He just runs around in midfield. He can't pass. He can't shoot. He can't tackle. I don't know what Papa Sarr's even doing at the moment. Pedro Porro. We're looking at players that have stood in and been there last season in the Ange setup, and we've got nothing from them. Absolutely nothing.
It's mad. And I'm just seeing here, Callum Steele on the Instagram says Sunday, and I know we're going to that now with Kev, but he said Sunday was nothing to do with Ange. Them players on Sunday showed nothing. No heart, no passion, and barely none of them are interested in playing for the shirt. Kev, the second goal for Villa, going on to that, because the crowd, you guys, fucking unbelievable. And I've seen it, I've heard it. Yeah, I mean, I can understand the deflation comes at the end of Liverpool when you go 2-0 down after after the start of the second half. Going to Villa now, Birmingham, new game, new trophy. Got to hope that you can turn it around. The second goal, Bentancur just leaves his man. He runs on. He just watches, and he's got so much time to still play a part in making sure that guy does not get a rebound. He doesn't get it. So again, like what I've said to Matt in terms of Liverpool, when you look at Birmingham, what's your take on burnout versus these players are inadequate and they're just not performing?
It's a tricky one for me because, I do think a lot of them are burnt out. But that doesn't excuse the fact that I thought every player was 5 seconds off it against Villa. Every tackle, we were 5 seconds late arriving for tackles, 5 seconds late showing for a pass. I think it's just a mix of everything. And at Villa, like you said, I haven't watched the game back, but since I've been back, all I've heard people say was that fucking atmosphere from that away end was something else. And I agree with that. I think the atmosphere was great on the way there as well, and into the ground, and we took that into the game. I didn't feel like the crowd were deflated as much because I think the thing that winds me up about that game the most for me for Villa is Villa weren't even at their best and we still lost. I didn't think Villa were that great, and they still played better than us and still looked better than us. And I think a lot of that was down to players being burnt out, but some players really not trying. And it is the same faces. It's the same names that we keep coming up. Your Poros, your Bentancurs, your Sons. The centre midfield for me against Aston Villa they absolutely fucking ripped for it. And I don't know. I mean, you can't really put your finger on it. I think it's just a host of things. There is burnout, but there is all maybe a case of players maybe just don't want to fucking play at the minute with him. I think, I mean, I looked at that bench yesterday, and yes, it is weak on paper, but I think at the moment, some of these senior players maybe need to watch some of these young guns come on, 17, 18 years old, and show a few of these how much they really want it and how much they want their place and what they'll do for it. Okay, there might not be the finished article. We might end up losing 3 or 4-0. But I think as fans at the moment, especially fans like us going away, I just need to see effort. I know the situation we're in. I know we're going to lose games like Liverpool's and Villa's, and I did think we was going to lose them both. But I need effort. I need you to try for me. 6,500 fans for each of them games, and you don't fucking try. I mean, I think for a 10-minute spell in the second half, I thought we looked okay. I thought we might give it a go here, and then that sort of just disappeared and faded away. So yeah, it's the lack of effort that's really getting people down, and people travelling for the amount of travelling they do, as Matt mentioned, is getting home at 6 o'clock in the morning and going to fucking work 3 hours later, being absolutely fucking shattered all day, and we've got kids and everything else. I mean, it takes its toll on you. And when I was on my way back last night, I was speaking to Lee, and my mate Lee, who drove us up there, and I just said, I think I'm at the moment, I'm mentally fucking drained with Spurs. And, Spurs is on our mind all the time. We not only support them the way we do, but we do this as well. And I mean, we're associated with the club all the time, every day of the week. There's always something going on with Spurs. And I think at the moment, I'm just mentally drained with it. Apart from going and seeing my mates and having a beer, the football is just getting to me. The negativity around the place, whether it's the owner or the manager, everything, the group chats I'm in, the negativity, everything, it's just stressing me out. And it stresses me out because how much I love the club and I want to do well, and I want them to. I don't like them being slammed by the media and press, but at the moment, whoever's fault it is, it's not going right at the moment, and it's getting a lot of people down. And the hope's there when we go to games that we think it's going to be different, but we just can't change the tune at the moment. And until players come back and we get recovery between games, I think it will be like this. But listen, there's a recovery stage now. Players are going to come back, so. I'm thinking that it'd be different from now when we go forward, starting at Man United.
Well, that's it, and it's all we can hope for in that sense. And I guess I'm looking again back on the chat. Callum Steele, he went to both away games like yourselves. He said it's an addiction following this club. He's got an 8-month-old daughter and he's travelled both away games. He'd still do it again. That's the beauty, and that's what you said, Kev, up front. The beauty of it is the fact that. Rain, snow, shine, 6,500, both games. Fans are there. The togetherness, the community of it all. It's first class. First class. Never going to change. Never going to change. And nor should it. When you love the club, nor should it. But there is a sense of burnout. And Matt, and I've loved your enthusiasm. And even at times when people have sort of said to you, and what you want about it? Like you've been a very fervent supporter of Ange on the podcast, in groups and stuff like that. Even he looks a bit burnt out, wouldn't you say, Matt? Oh, I think we can't hear you, Matt. You're on a mute.
Sorry, guys, I put myself on mute. I think he does feel burnt out. I think you're looking at him and he's got the press conferences. They're all throwing the same question at him. You've lost again, and he's like, you can see you can see the reason why we're losing games, yeah. And I still stand by that. I still fully back Ange in this, yeah. I am fully behind him, and I do. You look at him. He looks drained, doesn't he? But the way he speaks and he backs his players, Mourinho, Conte, and that would have threw them under the bus. You've got Ange there protecting the players and really wants the best out of them players. And I feel like Ange just needs us. Yeah, I feel like you're going to have a divided fan base at the moment. But if we've stuck through Ange through the worst times we've had in this injury crisis, why are we now going to go and sack him now when we've got 6 to 7 players returning against Man United? It makes no sense. You stick with him to the end of the season and hope that the players coming back brings us something. Do you know what I mean? We're still in the Europa League, and let's be real, that was probably our biggest one to go for. It's disappointing that we lost to Liverpool, but you lost to Liverpool. You lost to the best team in the world so far. Aston Villa away was never going to be an easy game, but going with our current team, what we had out there, we're not expected to go and win. If we were playing someone like Plymouth yesterday and we went out, I'd be absolutely raging. But we've lost to a good team in Aston Villa. So look, it's hard, but look, players are coming back. And I think 4 or 5 of them returned back to training today, like Ndogi, Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner. They all returned today. But what worries me is where's Van der Ven and Ramiro? Where are these two? Where are they?
Yeah, like, to not have them in them games also, is mad.
And what I get is for 2.5 months, and you can see where Andy's coming from, like 2.5 months. We had Solanke, we had to play him every single minute because we had no other injuries. He's then picked up an injury. We had Richarlison come back. He only lasted 3 games. And now he's out. So we literally, Radu come back. So when we think we got Van der Ven come back, he picked up and come off at half time. Radu come on for 10 minutes and got injured. So it's not like the players have just run themselves into the ground. And I think they're just picking up unlucky injuries as well.
It's interesting, and I saw a stat, and I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. A lot of our viewers would have. It was about Japhet Tanganga, and it was like his medical record at Spurs was 2 months out, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, a week out, a month out. You know, basically on the medical table a lot. Plays at Millwall now. I think he's played 68 games consecutively. Kev, with that in mind, with all these injuries, you know, there's been talk about the demands that Ange puts on training and his game set up. But are you curious about our medical department and whether that's being looked at? Because this is crazy, right? All these injuries.
Yeah, like, listen, I said to you last week, I said I've never known an injury crisis like it. And you know, I don't think you can just put it down to bad luck or coincidence. I think there is something going on there. I mean, they're all the same type of injuries as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just another one of them things that's sort of like it's just bad luck, or another piece of bad luck in a massive bowl of bad luck. Another ingredient into a massive bowl of bad luck.
Kev, also, mate, he's saying they're not even training at the minute because they're playing 3 or 4 days. They're not even training. So they're just doing the cool down, warm downs in the gym. So they're not even training at the moment.
Well, this is the thing as well about these injuries as well. You're constantly playing the same players all the time, and you're playing 3 times a week or whatever it is, or your Thursday, Sunday. And where you haven't got the players to rotate, you're constantly putting these players in without the recovery. And people can say, look, they're fucking athletes and they're on thousands and fucking this, that, and the other. But listen, they're human beings. They've got the same fucking bodies as us. I mean, they are strenuous training sessions, and I'm sure Ange don't let them off lightly with their running, because to play Ange's way, you need to be fit and you need to be running, and I'm sure they do a lot of transitional play of back and forth. I mean, I was watching them warm up against Aston Villa, and they was doing this drill where the back 4 was in a line, and they had to jump forward 10 steps to go and hit a cone, and then someone boots the ball over and they've all got to sprint back in. It's like, you know what I mean? They're not just sitting in games and just standing around and playing football like it is the fucking mid-90s. You know what I mean? It's a technical game now. There's a lot of tactics towards it. There's a lot of different styles of formations and ways to play and pressing. I mean, you've got to really be lucky not to get any injuries in the way modern day football is. And we've just had a shitload of them. And listen, if it is something in the physio department, I'd like to think they're getting hold of it and getting it sorted out, because, I mean, I don't even remember another team in the Premier League that has had the injuries we've had. Like, I'm talking about years gone by over the last few years. I mean, all good teams seem to get 1 or 2 out, and we've had fucking like 15, 16 out, whatever it is, over this time. So yeah, I don't know, Lee. I mean, they only know that within the club of what's going on. We can only speculate from outside. But yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. I mean, they're all the same sort of injuries, the muscular injuries, and they're the same type of players as well that are getting it. The same sort of players are getting the same sort of injuries. So yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be looked at, because it's definitely hindered our season, and it's probably hindered us going out of cup competitions, and we now have got 1 left. So if we do get everyone back, we can't have another injury crisis going into the Europa League. And I still think that, by the way, and I still think the league form is pretty important as well. I mean, I don't think at this stage of the season we should not concentrate on the league and rest everyone for the Europa. We've still a long way to go in the league. We can get everyone back. We can rotate, and we can compete in games better because we've got more choices of players. We've got better players to bring off the bench. You know, I think if we were talking around April time now, and we were sitting 11th or 12th, and we was in the Europa League quarterfinals or semis, totally different story. But I still think there's enough football to be played to salvage some pride, because our supporters are still going to be going home and away, and we're still going to want to see effort and players going at it for you for the badge. So, I mean, I'm just, whether it's the hope that kills me or not, but I'm just hoping that once everyone's back, this season will change. And I think at the moment, the manager and the players need certain players back, and it just gives something fresh to the whole place. And I'm not even just talking about the backroom staff I'm talking about the crowd as well, and the home support and away support. So time will tell. And if we can keep everyone fit, I'm sure we'll have a strong end to the season. In the league, we'll have a good run at it. Hopefully finish in the top 10 and win Europa League.
Well, that's it. We can only hope.
Yeah, Lee. 2 secs, mate. Sorry,
Go
mate.
on.
The people say about Bournemouth's injuries, yeah. Bournemouth's injuries, they were like, a lot of them are squad players. Not many of them are in their first 11 players, right? And they've only played 1 day a week. We're relying on these players to play 3 times a week for the same team without any rotation. So our team is better. Newcastle, same time last year, we're at that injury crisis, yeah? Everyone was like, oh, Eddie Howe's got to go. Like, he's not good enough. And then I remember Kieran Trippier having that argument with the fans at Bournemouth away. And he was like, have you seen how many injuries we've got? So it's not just us playing on this. You've got professional footballers like Kieran Trippier saying that last year. But now look where Newcastle are in the league and cup competitions. Do you know what I mean?
I just want to quickly say, I mean, I put that picture in. I don't know if you boys have seen it on the WhatsApp chat. But it says, Tottenham are set to have a week-long break for the first time since the November international break.
Yeah.
Excluding international breaks, the last time Tottenham had a week-long rest between matches was August the 24th until September the 1st. I mean, that's fucking madness.
This is the thing, though. But I mean, this is it. You know, it's the first time I've ever looked at everything with fixtures and gone, bloody hell, it just doesn't feel like it lets up. But there's people out there and our good listeners, our good followers that are saying a little bit different. We've got Hussein Sully who says, lads, I know we go on about the injuries, but have a look at our results all year, including without the injuries. We concede literally every game. We've got Nicholas Nichols here who says, we lost to Ipswich with a virtually full squad. This manager is way out of his depth.
Hang on, Lee, that Ipswich one, right? Every club drops points with a full strength team. Yeah, so you could pick out a handful of like Ipswich, Leicester, and stuff like that. But we wouldn't have lost nowhere near the amount of games was what we've lost now. Yes, every club drops points against teams. That just happens. But we would not be in this situation now with all these injuries. No way.
And also, just mention about the goals we conceded. We knew, and even this year, we knew that the way we play, we'll always concede goals. We always, the way we play, we're trying to outscore opponents. We known that from last year. So listen, we're always going to concede goals. So that thing about conceding goals, for me, that was always going to happen this year. We just needed to win games with conceding goals. But you ain't going to win games with conceding goals with the amount of injuries and players we've had out and not had a consistent team to pick from over, fuck knows. I feel like it's been since November. I think we've had it really, really bad. And like what you're saying, Lee, about the fixtures not letting up, I just think the fixtures have come so thick and fast with the amount at the same time we've had all these injuries. And now we're getting a week getting the breaks from playing. It's really important now to get these players back into full recovery. And if they've got any issues that's going to potentially get them injured again, they need to be sorted out before they come back. We can't rush players back. And I think we could have done that over the last sort of month or so. We could have brought players back early just because we were desperate, but he hasn't. So I think they've learned from that they really need to be fully healed before they come back. So I don't know. I'm pretty confident with myself. If everyone gets back and stays fit, I think we'll have a good run of that Europa League. And I'm talking about semi-final, finals, and wherever the league throws up. I mean, all you got to do is go on a 2 or 3 winning game bounce now, and your sort of confidence is back and everyone's back to normal, and we're trying to win games again, and the games that we should win. We've just gone through a shit stage for me at a shit time with shit injuries, and it's all just come on top in such a 3-month spell, I think, and it's been a hard 3 months, and the press don't make it easy for it. Our fan base does sort of isn't sympathetic with it. Where with me, I'm a bit sympathetic with Ange. I'm a bit sympathetic with the injuries. I also understand that some performances haven't been good enough from certain players, and we've lost games that we shouldn't have. But as a collective, I think you have to feel sorry for him in some sort of way of not being able to pick your best team since fucking October, November. I mean, now we're in February, so I don't know. I mean, listen, he'll be judged when everyone's back, which is fair enough. And I've always said, no matter what happens this season, if we finish this Premier League season without winning the trophy and we don't finish in that top 8, he has to go, regardless.
Well, this is it.
Lee, also, before these injuries, we were 3 points. I think we were sitting 6th before all these injuries, 3 points off top 4. That shows when people say the injuries has not made a big difference, it's absolutely destroyed us.
Well, I was looking, and I'm just trying to look at it now. I was reading the Times earlier, and he basically, Ange said, when all our players are back, when our players, when we've got the squad that we should have, we will be outstanding. I've just seen here reliefs for Spurs with Maddison, Vicario, and Udogie set to face United, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But that's just been a new story, and you were saying, Matt, a load of them have come back into training. But with Ange saying something like this, like, with all the players back, we'll be outstanding. Matt, is he almost auditioning now from now until May to have the job for a 3rd year, do you believe? And by saying things like that, does he have to is he going to have to prove it? Because if he doesn't prove it now, I don't think he gets a 3rd year, does he?
I think if our league form improves, if our league form improves from now to the end of the season with our players coming back, even if we don't win Europa League, if we're moving in the right direction, I feel we should give Ange that next season. I know there's going to be a lot of fan base saying no, not a chance. But if he's showing now, when the players come back and we go on a really good winning streak to the end of the season, showing really good form, I would trust him for that one more season. I would.
Interesting, and it's so divided.
Lee, I think you're spot on there, Lee. I think it is an audition for him now. I think he is now going to think, when I've got everyone back, I am now going to be judged, and that is the question. That is a question that everyone's saying. There's people defending him because of the injuries, and then there's people saying, well, whenever everyone gets back, we're going to be back to normal. So he's got a massive job on his hands when everyone's back, and I'm not even saying everyone's back. When he's got 3 or 4 of them back, it needs to be better than what we've seen. And if you ain't going to play young, hungry players in it, you've got to make sure your senior players are. I think what I would say is I think over the next 3 months, when everyone's back, I think you're then going to see how much the players want to play for him. Definitely. I mean, if you're still not getting results with your Van der Vens, your Madisons, your Romeros, and I mean Odegaard. I mean, some of these are going to be like new signings for us. If you still ain't getting results like that, and we will concede goals in them games with them players, by the way. But if we don't get results, I can honestly see that it get the boot by the end of the season, especially if he doesn't win the Europa League.
And rightly so, though, Kev. Rightly so. Like, end of the day, you can't keep someone there if you're saying about the injuries and that, and everyone is giving him the slack because of injuries. But when the players do come back, he has to perform. He has to raise it up now. Yeah. If he doesn't, then rightly so. We review it in the summer.
Yeah, I think this is our listeners, our viewers, whether you're listening on the podcast or on demand, whether you're watching live tonight on a Monday night that we do this, it's very divided here. I mean, there's people that are saying, you've got to speak with Ange. Mickey Stu on the Instagram says, I'm with Kev, get everyone back. We'll finish strong with Ange. But Nicholas Nichols says, Kev, mate, sorry, I love you, but if we think we're winning Europa League or anything with this manager, you're crazy. We've got Callum Steele says that only thing is we need squad depth, we need investment to help us when we get players get injured. It's real divided, which is, the wider fan base shows that. Seeing it here tonight and across our fan base as well just shows there is that division in what it is. I do personally think it is a bit of an audition. I agree with you guys. I think you can't get 3 months with these players back and not see a turnaround. Do you know what I mean? I'm bewildered at where Romero and especially Van der Ven, where he is. I know playing against Elfsborg was almost like a game in the park against kids. It was that easy for him. But to not even then be on the bench at Brentford, at Liverpool, at Villa is mad. Is mad, and no one knows. He's not really said about setbacks. He's said about, we've got to manage it. But now we are in the last chance saloon in many ways. He is in the last chance saloon. A lot of all of his eggs are in the Europa, albeit we want to finish strong in the league, and that starts Sunday. What better way? We're playing a team that are as down on their luck as us in Manchester United, in a team that have not got no form whatsoever and look drastically off the boil with a lot less injuries. There's a lot going to happen that day. Just before I get onto that, Kev, we have had a couple of players come in outside of the injuries. We've got two players in Danso and Tell. Tell got a goal against Villa. Across the two games, what have you thought of them?
Yeah, listen, I've been really impressed with Danso. I think he's come in and he's looked assured. I think they were going for that type of player that, every centre back we went for was going to have to be quick with the way we play. But yeah, I just think he looks really comfortable at the moment. I won't get too excited too early. But what I've seen of being chucked in the way the fixtures have fell upon since we've got these players in. Don't get me wrong, these players should have been in fucking way before then. But they've had to come in when it's all been quite negative. Couple of shit results, but I think he's probably one that I've been most impressed with, Danso. Tell, against Liverpool, I think it was a bit of a shitty game for him to come in on. Couldn't really get going. Ended up probably playing against the best centre back in the world, so that was always going to be tough for him. But what I've liked about Tell is that I don't know if he's come with a bit of arrogance because of the situation about him doing a U-turn and coming and not wanting to come in the first place. Does he feel like we owe him one for being there, sort of thing? But what I've liked about him is that he has got his head down. He's tried to play his game, but he's also been. Was it Liverpool? I think it was a Liverpool game. I actually noticed it. That I see him having a go at them. Having a go at certain players or rearing them up. When he's kicking off from a goal. So he looks hungry that he wants to be there. So at the moment, them two look really good for me. So we'll need them coming forward. I've seen that Tell in moments for Bayern Munich, and I've always said he looks too good for us. So if we can get anything of the Tell that I've seen through clips of Bayern Munich, I think we've got a good deal there until the summer. But yeah, quietly impressed so far.
Yeah, I guess it was a good finish, Matt. He got in the space, he put his foot out there, and he guided it in the net. Have you liked what you've seen of Tell and obviously Danso?
Yeah, I think what can you do? Do you know what I mean? There's two games in two hard places to go. Villa Park and Anfield, two hard places to go. Well, I don't know what we're expecting from them when the confidence has been knocked so low in the current team. So I think it'd be good to get them both back to White Lane against Man United on Sunday with a couple of players returning, and I think we'll see Tell light up the place on Sunday.
Brilliant. And I guess then, Matt, I'll stick with you here. Sunday was already a big day because of the march and everything. We've talked about it extensively on here. We've had people on about ENIC out. That was already monumental. The day was going to be a lot more about what was off the pitch. Because of what's happened, the game is vastly important now, probably more than it was going to be, because we want a turnaround. Players are coming back. Players have come in, like Tell, like Dan. So how are you as a singular supporter going into Sunday? Where's your head at? What are you thinking? Are you thinking about the march? Are you thinking about the game? Obviously, you probably think about it all, but where is your head at? And what do you want to come out of Sunday?
I can't be going on no march with this peg leg, Lee, mate. Jesus, I'll be.
Mate. No one's taking you in a chair. No one's going to take you and put you at the front of the march.
Look, I think because we've gone out of the cup to Liverpool and Villa, this is going to be a bigger protest than we've ever had before. Like with the previous protest against League, I think it's going to be a very spicy protest. One thing they've made clear is on all social media platforms, and you read, in the stadium, they're going to back that team 100%, no matter what, no matter the scoreline. They're going to stay there, and they'll protest in the South Stand after the game as well. But they're going to back that team no matter what. They're not going to turn on the team. It's just all angered towards leaving the ball, you know. So I think that's better, because if you was going in there with a very hostile atmosphere from the protest, then you know that's going to go onto the pitch and it's going to be horrible. But at least you know they're going to back that team no matter what. Lee, do you know what? I think we'll get a buzz anyway, mate. If we've got at least 4 of them players injured, even on our bench, it gives us another option. At the moment, I can't even name you our bench. They're all just young kids. Do you know what I mean? Who'd you bring on? So I think even just naming a couple of them players is going to give a lift around the stadium, because people know we're coming at the end of the tunnel now, and we're starting to see the light, and there's players returning. And it's down now to Angie and the team to turn that around, you know. But with the protest, I think even if you're if you're there, do you know what I mean? Make sure you go to it, because it's the only way you're going to see a change happen. At the moment, you're not seeing nothing. And if you want to continue living down this road where it's just full of disappointment, what we're going through now, then you have to attend that protest if you're going to that game.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Lee,
Yeah,
Lee,
but
can
Go
sorry,
on,
Lee,
you-
can I
yeah,
just
you
pick
go,
up
mate.
on that? I was talking about just the
Yeah, go
Levy
on.
thing. I mean, I think we're probably at the closest we've ever been to making it really, really vocal and putting the point across. I mean, I think at Aston Villa, I mean, it was really, really loud. I don't know how it come on the telly with the Levy out chants, but it was really fucking loud at Villa. I'm not even just talking about in the ground. I'm talking about from fucking Birmingham station all the way on the train to Whitton. On the way from Whitton to the ground, it was anti-Levy. And listen, I know you're going to get that more because it's your away supporters, and they are a different breed to some home supporters that go. But I think we're probably at the closest we've ever been to really making a fucking stance. And listen, I don't know what this fucking march is about. Well, obviously I know what it's about, but I don't know how many people could turn up. I think ones in the past have been absolutely fucking wet and quite embarrassing to even fucking to look at or watch on any social media clips. I think it's been really, really fucking embarrassing. But at the moment, I think it is probably its strongest it's ever been. So if this march can do something, great. Do I think it will? No. But at least the club are letting them know how they feel more than they've ever done. And no chairman for me wants to sit there and listen to that. But if he's a chairman who doesn't really give a fuck about the club like we all think he doesn't, then he will just sit in that chair, put fucking Beyonce on there or Kendrick Lamar today, and he will keep pumping his concerts out, and he will just keep sitting there taking the money, and we'll try and appease us in some ways by scraping players in at the end of transfer windows to make himself feel better about his work of what he's trying to achieve with the club. But listen, it's been too long, too many years, and he's let us down ever since he's came in. So listen, we all want change. If these are the little things we have to do to get there at some point, great, fair play to the people that do it. But at least you're hearing it now. At least you're going to home games and away games and hearing it more than ever. So it's obviously getting people's backs up more than it's ever has. So let's hope it does make a change one day, but at least the intent's there at the moment.
Obviously, Kev, you go with your little boy. You talked about the 6,500 at Liverpool, at Villa, and the camaraderie through that. Will you go to the march? You know, do you feel it's something that you're going to do? Do you want to be part of that?
I'm not a bat for United game. If I was going, I mean, I want change, but I mean, this is just me personally. I've never been into fucking protesting and all that sort of shit. So, I mean, I'd rather just sit in the fucking pub. I'd rather give my ticket up for a day and sit in the pub and watch it, if anything. But yeah, maybe I should go out there and join them. I don't know. Maybe it's because they've been so piss poor over previous years and quite embarrassing. It's probably the reason why I probably don't want to go and do one. But you know, if I'm sitting at home Sunday and someone sends me a video of fucking a few thousand walking down the high street, then fair play to them. Good luck to them, because they're obviously, we all want the same thing at the end of the day, and it's how you go about doing it. So yeah, maybe I should get down there if I want change. But yeah, there's just never really been a part of me. But I do want change, and fair play to the people that go and do it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I've been the same. I've heard about the in-out movements that have been smaller. We've had a great guy on in the past to talk about it, and it was really interesting to hear from his point of view. He was on it from early doors. I would, yeah, as well. I'm not there, but I think it's something that I would do, and I think if it's something that they continue, I think it's all about highlighting to the board that, look, it can't keep being, like you say, 29th of January, we bring in a defender when we were already strapped, or we get an exciting player on the 31st of Jan or whatever, that's, or 2nd of Feb, I think it was, that Tell actually signed, that all of a sudden appeases us. Why weren't he in on the 2nd of January when things, we had a whole heap of fixtures coming. We had to go away to bloody Hoffenheim. We had to play another game.
You're right there. I just think it's poorly executed, and we had these injuries from November, and I mean, I was on that Fabrizio Romano Twitter page from January the 1st, waiting for it to fucking refresh every fucking half hour. I was thinking, I'm expecting 5 or 6 to come in, just by looking forward and seeing what games would come in. And it's him being naive and thinking that we can get through things without correcting them. And he's done that more or less through every sort of manager he's had down there. He's prayed for miracles, and when he has gone big, he's got it wrong. I mean, it's just mistake after mistake, and it just needs to be a massive change. But I just think strategically, I just don't think he's got his eye on the football club as much as he's got his eye on other things. And as a paying supporter and someone who's fucking in their DNA is this football club, I mean, I can't support you in any way if Spurs are your afterthought, especially for what I pay to go down there, and they are my fucking, apart from the missing kids, they're my biggest love I've got. And it's like, you're taking that away from me and you're making it shit for me because you don't want to achieve what I want to achieve as a supporter, and that's a massive issue for me, and it's a massive issue for everyone else. It's a massive issue for 6,500 at Villa Park. It's really loud at the moment. I'm glad it is, because I said it last week. I mean, I don't want to cut him off too much. He might take my season ticket off me, but I enjoy watching him fucking squirm in his seat. I really, really do.
Good, yeah.
I think you deserve it for your lack of ambition towards this football club. And you've let thousands, let alone millions around the world who support this football club, you've let everyone down.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing for me is all about PR, public relations, right? The way that you conduct yourself says a lot to your supporters. Now, I don't mind them wanting to get every Kendrick Lamar, every Beyonce, every F1, every NFL, get it all. I'm all for it, all right? Make the area a better place. Yeah, I mean, make it the destination. But don't make the football club feel a little part of that. And for me, they constantly on a PR level get things wrong. Today, we've come out of 4 days of going out of 2 cups. That when the league is so bad, that meant everything to us. And it's big announcements about Kendrick Lamar and all that. And I get it. He played the Super Bowl last night, and it was probably already predetermined that they were going to announce it today. And there's more people involved, promoters and all that. I get it. But it's constant PR fuck ups that constantly do.
Lee, it was the Beyonce thing. We're in the middle of a transfer window. Yeah. Everyone is fucking seething that we haven't signed anyone, and you drop an email about fucking Beyonce tickets when everyone, the fans,
exactly,
is doing their nut because you haven't bought anyone. That is your primary thing. At least fucking wait until the window's shut, at least, or whatever. But the way you're dropping it, I'm like, where's your care for the club in that sense? Where's your care for us?
Exactly. The tickets for both those concerts do not come out until Friday. So there was no need to announce Beyonce when they did, because it ain't going to make no difference. You couldn't get pre-sales. on the march.
She's fucking fuming.
But
I just saw it. I see her kick the fucking door through. So let's talk about leaving.
Oh, had enough. But that's the thing, is that situation where it's like, now you just go PR fail after PR fail, and then we get these things. Of course we're happy we got Danso and Tell. We'd rather that than no one, but it's done at the wrong time. It's done at times when we've already had to go through the shit. Morale's going down, burnout. So it's a big game. So I guess then I'll ask you both, Matt, starting with you. What are you expecting results-wise? Spurs win? What are we thinking?
I'm clinging on here because I know we beat Man United in the cup with basically our reserve team. So, and I think we beat them quite comfortably. It was only Fraser Forster to give them a couple of goals. And I don't think Man United have got any better since then, if I'm honest. I look at them under Amarin and I just see a shambles. I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs, man.
Love it, Matt. Kev?
Yeah, listen, it depends on the players we have available as well. I mean, I think this team at the moment is pretty fucking beaten up. And I'm sure if we are putting out the same team as we have done the last few games, there's going to be a lot of negativity around the stadium. The atmosphere is going to be flat. Like I said, I just think a few faces back on that team sheet will really liven the place up. For me, listen, I don't rate Man United at all this year. I mean, but my problem is that everyone that comes to Spurs, even to our home ground, everyone thinks they can beat us at the moment, and that kind of just shows that everyone's looking at us like we're really fucking fragile. And this is teams like Ipswich and people that are down there with us, like Man United and stuff like that. So for me, this Man United game is quite an important one. I think it's up there with the Ipswich away coming up. I think that's going to be a massive game as well. You can take the piss out of it as much as you like, but it's a massive game considering where everyone is down there. So yeah, I mean, it all depends on faces. But if we get 3 or 4 back, I mean, I expect us to really go for it. And if we go 1 or 2-0 up, I think the crowd will really get behind it and we'll sort of take Man United apart. But if we don't, and we do start the way we started, and we'll probably concede first, and if the fans don't get behind them and it gets negative in there, I mean, we could end up fucking losing or drawing. But if we got everyone back, I'll say 2-1 Spurs.
All right, I like that. With everything that's been happening, I'm glad that there's that sense of positivity from you both. And you know, we want to obviously, like every Spurs fan listening here, we want the best for the club. We don't want, you know, we don't want to lose games to prove a point from our own opinions, and that we want the best for this club. So let's hope that can happen, because you know we want to feel positive. There was a bit of a positive for the Spurs under-18 team at the weekend. They won 5-3 in the English under-18 Premier League. They beat Brighton 5-3. Hat-trick from the guy that we've mentioned so much this year, Luca Jamie Williams-Barnett, back in the side. He hasn't been there for a while. I don't know if he's been injured, but he got a hat-trick. So again, standing out. The under-21 team didn't do as well. They lost 2-0 at Man United on Friday night, which wasn't the best result. And the same happened for our women's team. We lost to Man United last week. Kev, when you was there, how was it? Did you enjoy it on the Sunday night?
Yeah, as well. I got pretty pissed actually. I think I can drink, right, and I don't really get too wobbly on lager. But fuck me, I was obviously watching Spurs and Brentford in the pub. That was at 2:00. So I ended up watching the City and Arsenal game in there, and then went down there and had a few beers. So yeah, I was pretty fucking wavy, to be honest, down there. But it's always good because I get to spend time with my sister, who's a massive fan of the women's game. So, I mean, it's that thing of, like I said, we're going away. You get to see people and spend time with people that you don't really have time to see because everyone's fucking busy. So it's that thing of football bringing you together. So just for that reason alone, just me, my sister, and my boy having a bit of time. Yeah, we didn't play that well. I mean, United are a good team this year, so we sort of had a bit of a go in the last 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, they are on a different part to us at the minute. So, but yeah, good atmosphere down there. Cold night, but yeah, it's always an experience seeing the girls play, because it's completely different to the men's. So yeah, really enjoyed it, mate. Shame about the result, but yeah, from a family point of view, really good to spend time with.
Nice. That's it. No, it's always good to hear. I mean, by the result, I mean, it was the same. Played that team in the FA Cup, didn't we? And it didn't turn out well. But, you know, getting together and supporting the women's game is really important. Our sponsor, Join It Limited, on Instagram have said 3-1 Spurs. Come on, let's get behind them. Come on, you Spurs. So they're like us. They're definitely feeling it. And to end on a positive note is something that is very, 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 very positive for us. And we're delighted to announce that we have obviously been doing this now for, I think it's 144 episodes. We've literally been doing it nearly 4 years, I think, next month. But in April of this year, April 28th, Wednesday, April the 28th to be precise, we will be doing a live version of the podcast. We will be out and about at Madden's Bar, which I believe is East Finchley, isn't it? I believe it's East Finchley. We've got details, obviously, on our Instagram, but not just doing a chat with us and talking as we do, and hopefully getting you guys to come down. What's more amazing is that we will have a very special guest. And I don't know if you can get a more special guest than Tottenham's all-time record league, all-time appearance holder, isn't he? Yeah, across everything. And that is the legend that is Steve Perryman. We will have Steve Perryman in the building in Madden's Bar, East Finchley, on Wednesday, the April 28th, as part of a night where we record our podcast and we talk to Steve. I mean, Kev, you've been really instrumental in putting this all together. Like, yeah, how are you feeling about it? And yeah, tell us a little bit about how it's all come about.
Yeah, really excited for this one. I mean, I think when we first started doing the pod, it was a bit of a lockdown hobby of just getting through the being locked down, and obviously talking about Spurs, and obviously the more we've done it over the years, it's become quite popular. Everyone seems to like it, and it's sort of just taken on from there. And I've always said that for how well we've done, it would be nice to. I mean, we've had Spurs players on the podcast, but to get someone of Steve Perryman's stature live in person, and being sort of contacted about coming down to host it, obviously through people listening to the podcast, was a massive boost for us for how far we've come. And yeah, as we've grown in this podcast, I've always envisaged us of doing something like that. So to get Steve Perryman for me was the ultimate. I mean, like you said, an absolute Spurs legend, and someone that I always refer to as a Mr. Tottenham Hotspur. I'm sure he'll have some great stories for us. But yeah, doing a podcast as well, it's a night we do it. Lovely guy called Noel, who owns Madden's Bar, was one who reached out. Through a mutual friend, basically, who listens to the podcast, got hold of Noel and said, "Listen, I've got these guys who do a podcast. I think they'd be really good." And he contacted us and said, "Listen, I've listened to your podcast. I'd love you to come down and host the event." And yeah, it's something we've always wanted to do. And obviously we got together and decided, yeah, we think it's for us. So really looking forward to it. The tickets are on the links for all our social media sites, from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram. So you can get your tickets. I know they're going quick, so everyone needs to jump on it and get on it now if you want to be there. But yeah, we've had great feedback from it, and a lot of the boys and people we know are coming down. And yeah, I really can't wait, man. It's something that I've wanted to do now for a long time, of getting into a bar and getting it recorded like that. But to get Perryman is just unbelievable. Massive coup for us.
Oh, mate, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Cannot wait. And as Kev says, if you do want tickets, they are going quick. I know that's a cliche to say, but they are. They're doing really, really well. A lot of people already bought theirs. There are links across our different social platforms. I want to know as well, we're obviously going to talk to Steve Perryman. We're going to talk about Tottenham. We're going to have a laugh as well. I want to know, Matt, are you bringing your laptop? Are you gonna show off your Championship manager prowess on the night at Madden's Bar?
Well, I might just bring it. He's probably still in the game.
Buy him.
Was that Kev?
Oh, I was saying what I've heard about Steve as well. I mean, he's a really open guy, and listen, he loves the football club, and he's he won't sort of shy away from any questions, which is something you'd want as you're coming down to asking questions yourself. He pulls no punches, and yeah, apparently a really, really nice bloke. I'm sure there's people on here listening to this that have met him already and echo what I'm saying. But yeah, we don't know it for ourselves yet because we've never met him. So I'm really looking forward to it, really excited. I don't get starstruck by any famous people, but I reckon when I get on stage with Steve and shake his hand, I reckon I can fucking melt up a bit. So really, really excited. So yeah, I don't make a thing of myself.
Nah, not at all. And yeah, we'd love to see you down there. If you've got questions on the night, come and say hello to us. Come and have a beer with us. I mean, this is it. The podcast started as Kez says, in lockdown, and our remit was to be right. We don't want to just be another Spurs podcast. We want to sound like the guys down the pub that you'd have a drink with during a game, after a game, when you put the worlds to rights. It's very much like us. So this is perfect for us. We cannot wait. Wednesday, April 28th at Madden's Bar.
Monday 28th.
Monday the 28th. Sorry, I keep saying Wednesday. It's Monday. It's because I'm away for a couple of weeks before that, going to WrestleMania, so I've got all giddy and fucking forgot all my days. Yeah. So, but no Monday. Good. Brilliant. Monday night, just like the podcast. I remember it now. So that's Monday, April 28th at Madden's Bar. But lads, it's been a tough one, but it's been a great chat. I think we covered so much tonight. So many people have got in touch on the chats. It's really meant a lot. Look, stick with everything, guys. We've got to make sure that whatever happens, stick with the club. show your voices in the march if you're going down, and let us know as well. Send us your pictures and your videos if you are in the march, if you are around people that are in it. We'd love to see it. We'd love to share it. Obviously, look, we're a big fan platform. We want to sort of show what fans are going through as much as us, because you are in a very similar stage. So share with us what you've got, and whatever happens, keep the faith. It's going to get better. We're still in Europa League, and listen, look, who knows what could happen. We could be in the Champions League with a trophy in our hands by this time in the beginning of June. So we will be back next week. Let's hope it's with a win. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks very much for listening. See you next Monday, and come on, you Spurs.